This is CBC Vancouver News.
What we're getting is an increased number of parents taking in their kids to get vaccinated, and that is excellent.
Parents heed the call to vaccinate their kids against the flu as BC's hospitals brace for a surge in patients.
Our goal is to make a massive shift in the space, bring on as much housing online as we can.
Big promises from BC's first ever housing minister, how he plans to fix our affordability crisis.
Last year's heat dome was an unusual heat event that really did affect the new growth on the trees.
Christmas tree supply chopped. Why farmers say it might be tougher this year to track down that perfect evergreen. Good evening, I'm Lien Yeung. Thanks for joining us. Abbotsford police are asking for your help tonight after a pedestrian was killed early this morning in a hit and run. Police say the male victim was hit by a red Dodge Ram pickup truck just after midnight on a rural road between Trans-Canada and Fraser Highway. He died at the scene of the crash. After the collision, the suspect also allegedly hit the victim's truck, which was parked on the road. The driver then crashed their truck nearby and fled before police arrived. The suspect is still at large, and anyone with information or dash cam footage is asked to contact Abbotsford PD. Hospitals across this province are struggling amid a surge in influenza-related illnesses, and many of the patients this season are children. Health authorities are starting a vaccine blitz to protect kids. Our Joel Ballard spoke with parents at a Langley walk-in clinic today.
A steady stream of families file into this vaccination clinic.
We got 3 kids at home, so they get sick all the time, so we just want to make sure we're protected against the flu.
The anxiety among some, high, with news that 6 children and youth have died of the flu in the province so far this flu season.
Everyone's getting sick. Everyone's, it just can't escape it. It's going to happen, but we need to be, taking our opportunities to take care of each other.
In response to the tragedies and in an effort to get more people protected, the provincial government launched a vaccination blitz this week with flu shot walk-in clinics across the province.
People have answered the call. I think they've listened and they understand. And mostly today what we're getting is an increased number of parents taking in their kids to get vaccinated. And that is excellent. That is amazing, because what we need to do is protect as many people as we can against the flu, because it's pretty bad this year.
Hospitals across the country have seen a flood of patients. In Alberta, more than 1,100 people have been hospitalized with the flu, while in Manitoba, 7 people have died. At BC Children's Hospital, there's been a surge.
The last couple of weeks, we've been seeing very, very high numbers of both influenza and other respiratory viruses.
The situation is straining a healthcare system that is yet to recover from COVID, and BC Children's Hospital is preparing for that influx to continue, warning staff in a memo that it may need to soon keep 2 patients in a single patient room.
It is definitely our preference to keep 1 patient in a room. It's easier for families and much easier for care, but we've got a strategy so that if we do have to do that, we can do it safely.
The expert advice: get vaccinated, mask up, and stay home if you're sick. Joel Ballard, CBC News, Vancouver.
I'm paying for myself all the studio, and it's so expensive.
I came from Toronto, and comparing to Toronto, I think Vancouver is much higher.
For my sons and for nieces and nephews, of course, it's worrisome if they want to particularly live in Vancouver.
And those are just some of the housing struggles people in this province are grappling with. But the BC government is promising some light at the end of the tunnel. With the latest cabinet shuffle, our province has for the first time a ministry focused solely on housing. Our Janella Hamilton caught up with the newly appointed Housing Minister, Ravi Kahlon. So Janella joins me now. Janella, what is Minister Kahlon proposing to fix this crisis?
Speed, supply, synergy. That's what Minister Kahlon is promising. But it's not just property owners that he's focused on, also renters. He says change is coming.
Our goal is to make a massive shift in the space, bring on as much housing online as we can, and of course, support both renters and first-time homebuyers.
While Minister Calon admits the housing crisis will not be solved in 2 years, he says his priority will be creating attainable and affordable housing across the province. He believes the core problem is the lack of housing supply, with a record-breaking 100,000 people moving to BC last year and more than 72,000 this year so far. Minister Calon says his ministry will be working with local and federal governments to build more social housing and rental units, with the help of 2 parliamentary secretaries.
I've got one that will be focused on more renters-related issues, and I've got one who's going to focus a lot more on rural communities, because we know the housing needs and the solutions for housing in Metro Vancouver or Victoria or Kelowna is different than Revelstoke and some other smaller communities.
Rural and urban issues naturally very different. Okay, so Janella, we know that Minister Calon wants to increase housing supply. What other measures, though, is he considering?
Well, he says the idea of banning or regulating Airbnbs is not off the table. Premier David Eby has also given Minister Calon a number of mandates. He's been asked to look at making secondary suites legal province-wide and creating a financing fund to help encourage social housing developments. And when it comes to home ownership, Minister Calon says more supports are coming for first-time home buyers outside of the federal incentive program.
We have a specific program at BC Housing that helps first-time home buyers get into the market. We help increase the density of the projects. We take the additional revenues from that, and we help first-time buyers with part of their down payment. I'm looking forward to expanding that program.
Minister Calon promised to release more details on his mandate soon, including a flipping tax that will target international buyers. And for everyone still waiting for their $400 renter's rebate, he says it's still in the works. He says he's already begun meeting stakeholders and members of local government. This week, he will be sitting down with BC Housing to talk about future plans. His housing strategy is expected to roll out early in the new year. Leanne?
All right, thank you so much for that, Janella. I'm sure you'll be watching. Janelle Hamilton reporting for us tonight. A vigil was held today along Commercial Drive for the murdered Indigenous women in Winnipeg at the hands of an alleged serial killer.
No more! Stolen sisters! No more! Stolen sisters!
4 Indigenous women were allegedly killed by the same man over the span of 2 months. The bodies of 2 of the women are thought to be in a landfill north of the city. Police say officials are trying to find a way to conduct what they call a meaningful search for their remains after officers said last week it would not be feasible.
Here in the West Coast, we have similarities of how missing and murdered Indigenous women families are treated in the process of creating justice or finding out information on how their loved one passed away or were taken in a horrific way.
She says she hopes today's rally raises awareness and brings Canadians together on a healing journey. A 35-year-old man has been charged with the first-degree murder in all 4 deaths. His next court date is set for January. Wet'suwet'en and Gitxsan nations leaders are marking the anniversary of the Delgamuukw-Gis Dayway decision. The landmark ruling was handed down 25 years ago today, and Chief Na'moks of the Sayi clan says he still takes inspiration from that victory, but the fight isn't over.
They said, you know what, we're not going to ever use our regalia in court because we know they're going to insult our regalia, who we are. And for them to stay and persevere all the way through that, knowing they were making a difference not only for our people of the Wet'suwet'en and Gitxsan, but Canada, North America, because that's their court case has actually been used worldwide.
In a statement, BC's Minister of Indigenous Relations says, we are reflecting on our respect and gratitude for the plaintiffs and the Gitxsan and Wet'suwet'en people who worked so hard and sacrificed so much to reach this historic judgment. With the holidays around the corner, the race to track down a Christmas tree may be a bit tougher than in the past. Many Christmas tree farms across the Lower Mainland are already sold out. Yasmin Gandam explains why.
For Al Neufeld, his farm is more than just about trees.
Because we've been open 31 years, we see the kids that started here 31 years ago coming back with their own families to continue the tradition and cut their own tree with their own kids.
But the supply has been chopped due to our changing climate.
Probably 5 or 6 years ago, we started getting some of those really hot, dry summers. And so then that's really hard for the seedlings to take. So those seedlings that we might have planted 5 years ago or 6 years ago didn't necessarily have a good rate of taking to grow efficiently for harvest.
Despite this, Neufeld is doing what he can to keep customers happy and the tradition alive.
That stump just rots out after a couple of years' time, and meanwhile a new tree is growing right beside it. And so now this year we'll plant a new seedling, which will look something like this. We'll plant another seedling right there, and we'll continue the cycle.
But the Langley farm is still looking sparse compared to before.
The U-cut field has been closed since Sunday.
In order to meet the increasing demand for fresh Christmas trees, forestry experts say there needs to be more growers.
You know, if you could build on a land instead of growing Christmas trees, you might be making a lot more money. So that may be the reasons, but for sure the number of growers has been going down.
The BC Christmas Tree Association is asking the province to help encourage more growers to enter the industry. They're setting up a recruitment booth at an agriculture show in January. For now, farmers like Neufeld continue planning for the future.
Another seedling that took quite nicely, and another 6 years from now, that'll be a nice Fraser fir Christmas tree, and someone will cut that one out in the field here with their family and bring it home and enjoy it.
Yasmin Gandham, CBC News, Langley.
With Vancouver Island facing the worst drought level in years, opening weekend on Mount Washington is looking different. Don't expect silverware at après or your usual flushable toilets. As Claire Palmer reports, the resort is doing everything it can to save water.
While skiers and boarders are thirsty for the season to start, you may be left a little parched if you don't bring your own water. Drought conditions on the island has Mount Washington asking guests to bring their own water from home and limit water consumption while visiting. The resort has turned off water refill stations, provided porta potties, and are using disposable plates to reduce dishwashing, all in the name of water conservation. The resort gets its water from a nearby aquifer in Fresh Spring. Staff noticed the aquifer was low in mid-November and decided to act before the resort gets busy.
We're all in this together. It's going to take concerted effort from us at the resort, all of our guests, and the local community in order to get through this.
There's no timeline on when the conservation efforts will be lifted. The resort says it's something they'll be monitoring in the coming weeks. The measures have impacted snowmaking in the early season. However, a recent snowstorm has bolstered the snowpack for opening weekend.
Absolutely. I mean, we're really excited to be open. This little thing hanging over our heads a bit with the water, but no, I mean, you can see the smiling faces. I mean, that's what we're here for. Bring families together, have fun, enjoy the mountains.
The resort will be opening more terrain in the coming weeks as more snow falls. Claire Palmer, CBC News, Nanaimo.
And now for something unabashedly weird, the place, according to some, to find the perfect offbeat gift.
So something special, something weird, something silly, something funny.
Vancouver's Weirdos holiday market is back and promises to be a destination for one-of-a-kind items. Featuring 40 artisans, the market showcases quirky clothing, eclectic art, seasonal baubles, and items you probably never knew even existed.
Everyone is kind of that artist that actually doesn't usually get into the other markets. So these are all artists that have sort of applied for those markets throughout the years and not found their way into those markets because they're just a little bit strange or funny or a little bit too much, you know. And yeah, we found there was just a need for that kind of a market specifically. So it's definitely all weird.
You can find the market at the Russian Hall in Strathcona next weekend. And speaking of baubles, a sunken ship carrying up to $10 million worth of gold is being salvaged from the Juan de Fuca Strait almost 150 years after it sank.
I've known about this ship for about 40 years, so since basically the time I was in high school, and I always thought that someone else would, find it and do something with it before I did.
The SS Pacific set sail for San Francisco from Esquimalt in 1875. It was carrying over 270 passengers, but after crashing into another ship on the same day it left, only 2 people survived. Hummel's Seattle-based company, Rockfish Incorporated, has now been granted salvage rights to the ship, and once recovered, the gold could be up for grabs.
People can come forward and say, I have, a claim to this part of the ship or this part of the cargo, and here's why. Here's my evidence.
Hummel and his crew hope to begin the recovery process next fall. Well, if you're feeling nervous about driving in the snow, yes, that's me. I was too. Coming up, I get a special snowy driving lesson. Stay with us. Well, we've had a first early blast of snow last week, but if there is one thing we all know, winter is coming, and it is time to get your car ready. To get us prepared, I ventured out for some tips on winter driving. All right, we are here at Mount Seymour in this empty parking lot because I don't know how to drive in the snow. I'm a born and bred Vancouverite, so I feel like I haven't really needed to learn how to, but I should because the climate is changing. And so today we found a driving instructor to teach me how to do it. Let's do this. Hey,
Hey, Patrick, right?
Hi, yes.
Leanne, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for meeting me. I can't wait to do donuts in this lot.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, shall we hop in the car?
Yeah, come on down.
Let's do this. Okay.
And don't worry, I've got a set of pedals over here in case we get into trouble.
Okay, let's hope it doesn't get to that.
So how do you set your side view mirrors usually?
I kind of try to make sure I see the little bit of the back of my car.
Yeah, so that's not a bad way to set up your mirrors. What we typically like to do is push our mirrors out a little bit more.
Oh.
Lean your head towards the driver's side glass.
Yeah.
Now adjust that mirror just like you did now.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so see more of the road behind me.
Correct. Now when you move back to your normal driving position, can't see the car anymore, correct?
No, I can't.
Yes, but what you've done is virtually eliminated your blind spot. You're able to follow a car all the way up alongside of your vehicle.
Why are they here stealing our thunder? Look at this. I just go slow. That's typically my tactic.
Well, that's not a bad tactic. As you get driving, you're going to find that traction changes quite a bit.
Okay.
So let's give it a shot and see what kind of traction level we have available to us.
And you have snow tires on your car, right?
I do, yeah. Our vehicles are fully equipped with snow tires.
Patrick was a race car driver for a living for a while, so this is going to be very fun.
Let's pick up our speed a little bit.
Okay, this is scary. We're gonna go a little faster.
So let's go around the cone.
Okay, and I'm even signaling because I gotta be on my best behavior here.
And then let's see what happens when we hit the brakes. Nice and hard.
Oh, that was scary.
All right.
I heard that grinding.
ABS, anti-lock braking system.
Oh, okay.
So it helps keep the wheels rolling. So even in snow and ice, when things get a little bit slippery, you can see that the car actually stops pretty quickly.
Yeah, this is pretty good.
We do have a nice layer of snow that's just falling down right now. So that actually gives quite a bit of grip. You want to give yourself enough distance. So I would say like 8 to 10 seconds worth of distance, just in case you need to stop.
I just tried to slide my hand under the wheel to turn, which we are not supposed to do. So.
That's right. It puts your hand in a funny position. And if we were to strike something and the airbag were to deploy, your arm's not in a great position. Another tip that I have for folks is to work with your hands at 9 and 3. So by keeping our hands at 9 and 3, this allows us to do the steering input that we need to. And when we get into doing those little slides, it gives us control over the vehicle. When you bring your hands back forward, you know your wheels are straight. I'm sure a lot of people were taught 10 and 2. That's a bit old now. That was for cars back in the 50s that didn't have power steering. So now do you want to feel the car slipping and sliding around a little bit?
I guess so, yeah, because I want to know what to do in that situation. Because I hear a lot of people say you should be pumping your brakes or get off your brakes.
The pumping the brakes, ABS does that now for us much more efficiently than we can do.
Oh,
so
okay.
No need to pump your brakes anymore.
No need to pump your brakes. You heard it here.
I always say, look to where you want the car to go. Even when the car is not going there, even when the car steps out and you feel a little bit of a slide, look and steer where you want the car to go. That's going to be the best thing that you can do to help keep you safe in the event of a skid.
Okay, and so how far out should I be looking then?
Ideally, as far down the road as you can. Part of it is to get the information sooner, but the other part is actually gives you a wider field of view. A big common tip is that people look at obstacles they want to avoid, but you focus on where you want the car to go. Okay? And then once we get our hands set 9 and 3, let's go. Oh, so you're feeling some slipping and sliding there? Keep the throttle on, keep going, keep going. Excellent.
Oh my God, yes, I'm definitely feeling some sliding.
Okay, so how did that feel?
I could definitely feel the car, you know, swerving a bit, both in the back and in the front.
For sure.
Especially as we picked up speed.
Easing off the gas, that's the first thing that we do, gets weight back on. And then if that's not working well enough, we actually go to the brake. Nothing wrong with using the brakes. It's when you combine brakes with a whole lot of steering that becomes a problem. Okay, big lots of gas. There's the back of the car. Now we just want to look and steer.
We are just, I don't even know where we're going here.
This time when the back of the car goes, we're going to look at the porta potty.
Okay.
And we're going to use that as our focal point, and we're going to try to what's called counter steer, or steer in the opposite direction. So let's get ready, and now let's jump on the gas. Now look for the porta potty, look and steer, look and steer, look and steer.
Oh my God!
Look and steer.
Oh my God!
There you go. How was that?
That was really scary. I think it's harder than you think it is. Like in the moment, there's just there's so much going through my head and the adrenaline.
Of course, for sure. And that's why we always advocate looking and steering where you want to go.
When I see a hill and I'm worried I'm not going to be able to make it up the hill, should I be trying to like gain some momentum before I get up it?
Yeah, so gaining momentum is a technique that you can use if it's a slippery hill for sure. But remember, we do that at the bottom of the hill, not when you're on it. If you have slippery conditions, when the car starts to wiggle around, just keep a constant speed.
What are your final tips for anybody driving in snowy conditions?
Adjust their speed accordingly for conditions. We also want to make sure that we look and steer where we want the car to go.
Harder than you think, but we will do it, yeah.
And then, of course, working with our hands at 9 and 3, that's going to help with control and avoiding the things that we need to.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Patrick.
No problem.
So appreciate you doing this.
Great.
Should we do one more donut?
Oh.
I'm not over it yet. Let's try one more time.
Yeah, let's give it a go.
Let's go for a check on the weather now. It was a bit of a gray one today, pretty cool, but that's what we should expect, I guess, around this time of year. Here's your current temperatures. Looking at 6 degrees at YVR, in Nanaimo looking at 4, in Pitt Meadows 5 degrees, White Rock also looking at a 6, in Abbotsford sitting at 5 degrees. Across the province tomorrow, pretty nice for the most part. Lots of sunshine on the way and not too chilly for this time of year. Minus 13 in Dease Lake, looking at some light snowfall. It'll be mostly cloudy in Prince Rupert, but dry. 2 degrees will be your high. Prince George looking at a minus 12, sunny, and same goes for Williams Lake, really nice, minus 11. Kelowna and Cranbrook expecting a little bit of snowfall, minus 5 in Cranbrook, looking at a minus 1 in Kelowna. And Victoria, your afternoon high will be 6 degrees. And here in Metro Vancouver, expecting an afternoon high of 5 degrees, very sunny. And then as you see, as we head through the week, hanging on to that sunshine and temperatures hovering around a 3 to 4 degree mark. Overnights will be cooler though, sitting below the freezing mark, but pretty nice week in store. And that does it for us this weekend. That's your late news for this Sunday night. Thank you for watching. I'll see you back here next weekend. Have a good one.